Hey everyone, thanks so much for checking out the video. I hope what I have to show you today, helps you out a lot, inspires you. Maybe it's eye-opening for some of you. So here's what I'm gonna play. What I'm gonna show you here. So, that's just a E minor arpeggio. What's an arpeggio? An arpeggio is just the notes of a chord played broken. So if you take an E minor chord and just pick through all the strings, you just arpeggiated the chord, right? Instead of strumming through them, you've picked. Okay, so now there's a lot of ways you can do this. So what I'm doing here is I'm running through a couple of different positions for me. The way I'm doing it here. Alright, so here's the thing. Here's how we want to understand what we're doing here. For a lot of you, you're just going to learn this thing, and that's all it's ever going to be. You're just going to run it up and down. You're never going to take it any further than that. You won't even try to apply it to music. And that's where I think a lot of problems arise for people, is that they don't know how to take things and apply them and make them musical. So you got to learn to understand the difference between practicing and playing. And then you try to do try to get as close as you can to making practice sessions as musical as possible. Okay, so here's the thing. Now we want to understand where this is coming from, right? So I'm really viewing this as going through three different E's. First off, like my low E, the second fret of the D string E, and then the fifth fret of the B string E. So kind of like, it's hard to get, but like those three E's. You see how and I try to get students to do stuff like this, and they just seem to never want to do it. Like, even try. I get people to try to, see their E form, their E major form, E minor form. You got the three E's, the high E, the low E, and then the second fret of the D string. And I try to get students to form it literally form it like this, and they won't do it. But it's important that you do that, because you see that where the root shapes are, right? These E's now just move up, right? So F sharp, G, etc. Okay? So it's really important that you know where notes are on the fretboard. So I'm just seeing E at the low E, open low E. So notice how I put my finger behind the nut. This to me, it feels like a fret back here when I view the open strings as a fret, right? So then I'm going to the second fret of the D string, and I'm going to the fifth fret of the B string. Okay, so the chords here to me would be the E minor chord, open E minor, and then the D minor shape moved up. My D minor chord. So your D minor chord here. So right here. Here we go. So that's an E minor. I've moved up the roots for the D, the open D, and the third fret of the B string. So when you played open D major chord, right, this is what it would look like if you had to fret the open D string. You see where your two roots are. D string, B string. So this moves up. You move that up a whole step, you got an E major here using the D major shape. But we want minor, so I'm going to use the D minor shape. Okay, so, and within that, you got the two E's. So I go from this low E to this low E to this low E to the second fret of the D string E, and then to the fifth fret of the B string E. So I'm just going E, open low E, G, third fret of the low E, B, second fret of the D, and E. That's a one octave arpeggio right there. E, G, B. E, G, B. E minor arpeggio. The three notes that make up the chord. So then once I get to this E, I'm just starting over. Another one. E, G, B. That's the second fret of the D string. Middle finger to the fifth of the D. G. First finger, fourth fret of the G. That's a B. So E, G, B. And then we go to the E, the fifth fret of the B string. Middle finger, E. Third fret of the high E. G. First finger. Seventh fret, high E, B, pinky. So you have that three times. E, G, B, E, G, B, E, G, B. Right? Same three notes in three different octaves. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to burn that in very well if we can, right? Into our brain, into our vision, into our fingers to see this move right. Okay. Now, so what you're going to do is you're going to use I'm going to use a one chord backing track, an E minor one chord backing track here. Now, just have a listen. Right, so quarter note pulse is 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get what I just played and do that in a loop, right? So it'll be an eighth note. So I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then I would just keep repeating. When I get back to the low E, I just start over. And it just becomes a loop. Now the cool thing about this is that you can do this. You're making your practice more musical, more interesting. You're practicing your timing, right? You're getting more out of this than just running it up and down without anything going on behind you, right? But immediately after we do this, we're going to try to make music with it, okay? So here's for me, is if I was doing this, so it would be, I'm going to count myself in here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep doing that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just trying to get it burned into the brain, into the vision, into the fingers, right? So you can experiment with other different. You could do some like some economy picking. So it'd be down, up, down, down. So those 3 are down right there. Right. So you can experiment with different types of picking. I think I was trying to do it all alternate. I may have gotten out of that a couple times, but otherwise, this is hybrid picking. It's a little bit more challenging for me. It's challenging for me to do that, but that's another option too. Is just, so again, you try to practice it as many different ways as you possibly can. Okay? All right, so you've done that. You feel like you've got that under control. Now you could take this track and just first see if you can be a little bit just musical with just the arpeggio notes, right? It's tough. You want to go to other notes, right? Okay? So, but it's still important that you can really understand how to use the chord tones, okay? So, all right, now that you have that, right, and I have to reiterate here that, again, you're just moving through 2 E minor chords. You're moving through the open E minor and then the D minor shape for E minor. So when I do this arpeggio, to me, I'm seeing these chord shapes. This helps me see this stuff, okay? I'm also kind of mainly in what you would consider for the D minor form, since we're in E minor, but the relative major is G major of E minor. I'm not trying to confuse anybody here, but I want you to understand the scale I'm seeing around. Right, so I'm seeing this scale, which to me is either the D minor form for E minor or the E major shape for G major. Right, because those 2 are relative major minor, they share the same notes, so all the scales are exactly the same. It's just where the tonal center is. In this case, I put it in E minor. So that means that when I play this scale, I need to resolve on E's, right? To resolve it right. Okay, so it's important now that because why I want to see the scale here is because of how we're going to add notes now to what we've already learned, right? This arpeggio here, we're going to add notes now to this to make it more interesting. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add what is either the 9 or you would consider it the second note of the scale. So in this case in E, that'd be F sharp. So if we play this first octave, well, here's my F sharp at the 4th fret of the D string. Right, and you hear how interesting that sounds? Okay. So it's a great way to just add some color and not just sound, as cool as the chord tones are, if that's all you're using, things are going to sound repetitive. Right? So getting that 9 in there. Now when I come here, right? And also, we want to have fun here too, so maybe by now I could turn on my delay and have something a little bit more interesting. Right? It just has a little bit. So that just makes things a little bit more interesting, right? You don't always want to practice with the delay on. You want to know that you can play stuff clean. But hey, we want to have fun too doing this, right? So now the 9, what does this want to do? Well, this wants to. This is another whole subject. Probably I could do a bunch of videos on it. But listening. So this 9 here, the second is it's a great sound, but it wants to go somewhere. And you can just hear if I play the low E. It wants to go up to the minor 3rd or down to the root, right? So if you hang on it too long, it can start to, right? You can just feel it, like go somewhere, go up, go down. Okay, so now I know that by teaching that, a lot of students they don't listen when they're playing, and I get it 100%, because if you're trying to learn stuff, it's like you're doing so many things at once, right? And it's hard to be doing multitasking if you're new to guitar and things, or just learning anything new, right? But I can't reiterate it enough that you take time to, and this is why I'm going through this like this, because I'm hoping that you guys just stop and really listen to how these notes react, in this case, to an E minor chord. So let's hear that. Right, you hear now I could get rid of it like that too, right? So that's another idea. So if you get rid of it, it's going to sound good because you're not lingering on it and just, right? I mean, it sounds good, but you want to go somewhere. Okay. It's a combination here of understanding what you're doing, but also using your ears, right? And there's some people that are against understanding what they're doing. And I just think, like, why can't I do it both ways? Why can't I use my ears and listen like they would, but also know what I'm doing, not only from a theoretical level of what the chord is and what the notes that make up the chord is, but also on the fretboard understand where these notes lie and what's, so when I see my chord tones, then I can see the other scale tones. So this is what we're doing, right? We're understanding what the chord tones are. That's the notes that make up the chord. And in between all these chord tones, we have other scale tones. And what these other scale tones do is they're going to add color to your lines, to your lead playing, to your improv. And then it becomes, how do you use them right? And that, to me, is where the listening factor takes in. Okay? So, for the most part, the root is the only thing that's going to have the complete resolution. Even chord tones are going to sound tense at times, and because they're not fully resolving to the tonal center or to the root, right? So you're basically looking at all the scale tones as just different levels of tension or resolution. Okay, but you want to start to understand what those ones are that are strong and weak, right? So you know, I'm going to say the 9 is just a great note after all the other chord tones, right? So now if we were, that's the the second degree, right? So that means so far you know the root, you now know the second or 9, the minor third, which is in the case of E is the G note, right? And then, so that means after the G, the third, you have the 4th degree. So E, F sharp, G, A. In the case of E minor, it's going to be the A note. Okay, so we're going to find that here first at the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay? Now I'm going to rethink my fingering here because I want to go somewhere else, right? Right, so that, now you can hear how that A note, again, that's very tense after, it's really, to me, is a very, very tense note, the A note. This is the 4th degree again, or 11, you can consider it 11. But that's really tense to the E minor. Right, again, that really wants to fall down to the G, or up to B, which is a chord tone. We've played that note, right? So, pinky, right? So again, I'm just listening. So here it is over the music, so we can hear it. Again, I'll just play the note. Right? You just hear how, or now we're going up to B. Okay. So, I'm listening. I'm playing these notes and I'm listening. It's just little things like that really do add up over time. It really does. Okay, so we mess around with the A note, the 4th degree, and then the 5th we already know is B. So there's only 2 tones left here that we haven't done. That would be the 6th degree, which is going to be a C note. Okay, so let's hear that. I'll do that. I'll play the arpeggio now like this. Right? Again, you can hear that's that note's very wants to either go down. See, it wants to go down or up to D, and D wants to go back to E. So let's hear the C note. Again, I'm just gonna play it. Again, that's like really. After a bit, right? So you can hear how it wants to fall down, or up to D, and then D. There's your back to your root, okay? So yeah, so let's just let's use the C once here. I'm just playing the arpeggio. Finally adding in that color tone. See, again, I don't want to be on it very long. There it is here. Okay. Then the last one would be your D note. Would be the flat 7, the 7th degree of the scale, D. So if you when you play an E minor 7, that's what you're doing, right? You're playing an E minor chord, but you're adding in the flatted 7, the D. And by the way, when you played that E minor 9, the first one we did, the 9, if you play that an E minor chord, you add the F sharp on at the 2nd fret of the high E. It's a pretty cool sound. Alright, so let's hear the D note. 3rd fret of the B string. Again, like, sounds nice going up to the root. Or down to C. But then again, C, now C wants to move, right? So you kind of, that 7 and 6 either want to move up to the root, 6, 7, 1, or 7, 6, 5. Okay? So you have to use your ears. with a lot of this stuff, right? You know, and then you can just start just playing. That A. I'm going down. I'm making lots of mistakes here. Anyway, so let me say one more thing. I know this is kind of a long lesson, but please understand that you can do this stuff in different ways. So just real quickly, when I played that E here, I could have chosen to go to the 7th fret of the A string and catch it there and then finish out the arpeggio, right? So, and then take for when I went here, when I got to this B here at the 4th fret of the G string, instead of going to the 5th fret like I was, I could have slid up into the 7th fret or the 9th fret of the G string E in my A minor form and played there. So I'd get right? A little bit different from me. Alright, I'll leave that at that. I hope that helps you guys out a lot.